Hey everyone, welcome to the Underswell. I'm Derek Sabori. Thanks for being here.
Being aligned, you have to create everybody in the organization through a set of choices. Where do you want to play and how do you want to win? If everybody's aligned us, it really make people look toward the same direction through a common set, through a common purpose, or most importantly, through a common positioning. And, behind a set of priorities that's called a strategy, that's money. This is, when you have this, then you're growing, and you're growing profitably as well. And I've seen this. I've been a part of this. So I'm looking forward to implement this in the next role I will be in.
Today's profile is on Sebastien Marcq, a seasoned marketing executive with over 20 years of experience leading global brand strategy and integrated campaigns across lifestyle, CPG, wellness, and even biotechnology research. From Vans and Volcom to Sambazon and the tea brand Chagee, Sebastien has helped build and scale brands that connect deeply with their audiences and drive results. But what sets him apart isn't just the resume, it's his grit, his cross-industry agility, and his ability to bring contagious energy into every room that he walks into. We talk about what it means to defend the awesome, how brand alignment becomes a business superpower, and why progress always beats perfection. If you're looking for a proven marketing leader who can turn insight into impact and rally teams along the way, Sebastien Marcq is somebody to keep an eye on. And as he says, he's got an oddly cool French accent, which I really think you'll appreciate. Enjoy this professional podcast profile on Sebastien Marcq. Well, hey, I'm here with Sebastien Marcq, a marketing executive who is typically busy transforming deep consumer insights into easy-to-understand stories and impactful campaigns that make people buy and believe. Sebastien, welcome to the show.
Hey, Derek. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you. We've known each other for a long time, mostly from our days back at Volcom. That's where we first met, and then it's been fun watching your career evolve. But I want to start off just kind of by getting a sense. Where are you calling in from? Where's home?
Today I'm home. I'm in Laguna Beach in California.
Cool. And you're looking for new opportunities right now. So I guess my first question is, if the right opportunity were to present itself, are you willing to relocate, or Southern California, Laguna is home?
Yeah, where I am is good. You have a good hub around here in Southern California. Los Angeles is not too far. Remote opportunities are good, but frankly, I love being around people. I believe in serendipity, and having a close proximity to others is good. So hybrid or on-site is a good setup as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. And that is one thing. At first, I really appreciated the remote working opportunity, but also I really like being with people. And there's an energy that comes with working together with your team, right?
Yeah.
You've been working with teams for years.
Oh, yeah, many years. Oh my God, more than 20 years now.
Well, as an Omni-Channel marketing executive, like we said, you're currently exploring new leadership opportunities. Mm-hmm. You want to be able to, help continue building iconic brands, shaping culture, driving demand, especially with companies that value research-driven strategies and omni-channel execution.
That's correct.
You've spent, like you just said, 2 decades scaling iconic consumer brands, mostly in the lifestyle and CPG space, like Vans, Volcom, where we met, Sambazon. You were recently introducing Chagee, China's largest tea house chain, into the U.S.
That's correct.
Leading large teams across the U.S. and Europe. Tell me a little bit about the last 3 or 4 years then, and maybe, give me a sense of what you're hoping for in the next 2 to 3, let's say.
Cool. So in a few words, the last couple years, I was the VP of Integrated Marketing at Sambazon. I was part of the executive team. We drove 60% growth during my tenure there. I modernized the brand identity, the positioning, logo, the packaging, website, revamped its look and feel across all channel and touch points. We ran several brand and product campaigns. I built a loyalty program. I brought a new data platform. Big highlight when I was there was the partnership with the WSL, the World Surf League.
Yeah.
And that combined with all the creative work that we've done, it really took our awareness rate to the next level. We grew from 9% to 24% in 2024 when I left. It was a big game changer.
Wow.
Most recently, I led the US launch of Chagee. Chagee is a global premium tea brand. Think of this as Starbucks for tea. They have more than 6,000 stores across China, Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand.
Wow.
And they were looking to penetrate the US market. So there, I was employee number 3, and I built everything from the brand story, the visual identity, the segmentation, the digital platform, all the way down to the in-store consumer experience.
Wow.
But through it all, the last couple of years, my main focus has been on what I call defending the awesome, which is protecting what makes a brand very special, while scaling it, with meaning. So it resonates deeply with the target audience. So that's what I'm trying to do right now, just looking into my next leadership role where I can build something that shapes culture, make an impact, and, drive growth.
Yeah, I love that tagline, that idea of defending the awesome.
Yeah.
Why is branding so important? Why do you refer to it as awesome? Like, what is it about the brands that you've worked with? You've worked with some iconic brands. So what is the power there? What's the magic, and why is it so important today?
So first of all, I'm going to give credit to Danny Kass because he launched a snowboard movie back in the days called The Defender of Awesome when he had Grenade, I think, the glove company in snowboard.
And this is Danny Kass. This is Danny Kass, the Olympics pro snowboarder, right?
That's correct, yeah. And I always loved that tagline. And for me, defending the awesome, as a founder, you're spending a lot of time building a brand that resonates emotionally with your audience. And so I want to defend this uniqueness, this distinctiveness. And that's why I'm committed to this.
Yeah, I like that positioning, that you're defending. And I think as a marketer, that's really what you're doing, right? Kind of defending the name, that customer loyalty, the magic that is there that keeps people coming back for more.
Yeah, so it's really protecting what makes a brand special and resonate with the audience. So that's defending the awesome.
Looking back at your past experiences, Sebastien, what are the 3 things that you think you've learned and or appreciated most? I think of this in terms of how maybe you've evolved, connections you've made, maybe the lessons you've learned or the mistakes you've made. What's it been like for you?
Okay, we're not going to talk about mistakes.
Or lessons learned, we call them.
Yeah, lesson learned. Although I'm okay talking about mistakes because this is what shapes someone. Mm-hmm. One thing that I've learned is an organization is very powerful when it's aligned behind its vision and its strategy. When I was at Vans back in 2013, the leadership there was super aligned behind going after self-expression and going after a target audience. I had the opportunity to launch the House of Vans in London, which is the physical manifestation of Vans' promise to support and enable creative self-expression, supporting action sport, art, music, and street culture. That place was really mind-blowing. It was 5 tunnels underneath Waterloo train station in the heart of London. We had art galleries, a skate park, theater, and a restaurant, and that was just amazing. We had Metallica playing there, the Foo Fighters, Dinosaur Jr., Public Enemy. I mean, having the opportunity to make this happen, mind-blowing. And plus, again, it was part of the Vans mission to really support creative self-expression. So that's one. The other, I would say, your reputation is your currency. I've heard this. I don't know who I'm quoting someone here, but I don't know who I'm quoting, so sorry. But how you make people feel is very important. It's how you're going to be remembered. When I used to be at Embry Genetics is a clinical diagnostic lab that sequences your DNA to understand your condition. And I remember I received an outreach from a mom in Europe that was desperate, to get an answer for her children. And mind you, the company was very oriented US, but then, I was able to get her son blood sample to be sequenced for a fraction of the price, and then later on receiving a letter from her saying that I've been able to save that kid's life. This is like a tear jerker kind of moment. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing to have the ability to make an impact on someone's life through the organization I'm working in.
Sebastien, what, on the House of Vans, what specifically, with such a big initiative, what was your specific takeaway? What did you really learn? Why was it so, meaningful to you?
Because this initiative was fully aligned with the strategy that we had at Vans. The entire organization was behind this mindset that Vans exists to support and enable creative self-expression. We had a framework called OGSTM, Objective, Goal, Strategy, Tactics, and Metrics. And the entire VF portfolios of brand were using the same framework, right? TNF, the North Face was using this, Timberland was using this, Vans was using this. And I've seen real life that how this framework that, should come up as very theoretical at first is really driving sales and growth. Because, people are on board with the mindset and the emotion you're trying to communicate with the target audience. And that makes people purchase product, not just one time, but, come back and repeat. So that was super inspiring.
Yeah, it sounds like it, because it starts with a clear vision, an easy to understand framework, strong messaging that, to get it throughout the organization, enact the plan, follow up, see the results. Like that seems sort of like that's the MBA formula, right? And it's like you saw it put into action. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is a framework that was brought in by the VF executive leadership team, and very powerful. That's like Vans grew from $2 billion to almost $5 billion in the next 10 years following this. That was good. And all of those companies, even with that House of Vans that you mentioned, that has potential to change somebody's life, right? To have that massive of an experience and a celebration of that surf and skate culture and music and art. These are powerful, impactful things that, you got to help bring to life and impact people. Absolutely. Even also when I used to be at Volcom, running Volcom marketing in Europe, how we were able to make an impact on people's life. I think I mentioned earlier, some people were showing up to me with a tattoo of the brand on their arm. And you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. How much we were really influencing the culture and building a culture that makes people believe and, become life fan of the brand. So that was very impactful. Yeah. Sebastien, I'm looking at your LinkedIn profile and your resume, and one thing that really caught my eye was your world-class business schooling and the array of industries you've worked in. So I want to ask, what was the catalyst for applying to HEC, going back for your MBA, and maybe what's been the benefit of that schooling and your sort of multi-industry approach? Yeah, great. Awesome question. So to roll back, I was a professional snowboarder. I got into marketing because I started working for my sponsor. My background, educational background, I have a Bachelor of Science in Thermodynamics and Fluid Mechanics, which was more an excuse for me to be in Grenoble, which is in France, in the French Alps, nearby Alpe d'Huez, where I used to snowboard, almost every day. Yeah. But then throughout my career, at some point, I was like, okay, I'm kind of stalling. One day, I've read an interview from Bernard Mariette, the former CEO of Quicksilver, who acquired Rossignol. And then through that interview, I was reading through the interview, and I was reading buzzword like synergies and EBITDA and future cash flow. And I was like, wow, how can I speak like this? Yes. I want to, because I was on that trajectory. I was going to be like, in marketing, and how do I learn this? It has to be something I would need to bring in because I don't think, my ecosystem was going to bring that to me. So I was actively seeking, how do I educate myself to become and to bring in more business acumen? Of course, everybody in France knew that HEC Paris was the #1 business school in Europe, and I set my goals on going there. So
I spent, a year or two really developing and learning to do the GMAT test, getting ready, because, you have to have a high GMAT grade to get into HEC, and I was accepted in 2009, and then I did my MBA there until 2011. And this really changed who I am, built, a lot of business acumen, reinforced my assertiveness, and enabled me to see the function as part of the whole. So now I understand, how a business is working, all the complexity around customer acquisition, customer retention, but also the operation required to, make sure a product gets delivered on time, clients are paying you, and the bank is financing your inventory that you need to sell your product. A whole ecosystem there.
That's right. And would you say that is what gave you, first, I really appreciate sort of that, I guess that acknowledgement, that recognition that, wow, I need a new language. I need a new skill set. I've got to go attack this. That's a lot of work to go in and go do that. I think were you still working while you went to school and did it? Were you doing both?
Yeah. I was working for the Billabong Group. I was leading the Van Zipper business unit in Europe. And I did my MBA in part-time, which was 1 week every month. So 1 week a month, I was going to Paris, stay there for a week and learning all the while I was working full-time at the same time. So I had to take holidays, to do my MBA at the same time.
That's a heavy load, but it sounds like coming out of that experience, so it gave you the confidence to be able to kind of move fluidly between, from the surf industry over to, clinical testing and sort of science, back over to, CPG and the food and beverage industry, right? You can kind of seamlessly move wherever you need to go because you've got that understanding, right?
Absolutely. I'm industry agnostic. At the end of the day, marketing is everything you do to help attracting and retaining more good customers. That's this is like the best definition I've ever found of what marketing is all about. And industry agnostic, I'm often right now when I'm looking for a job, I'm reading on the job description, X 10 years or more experience in the same industry. I'm like, why do you want to do this? If your intent is to hire from your next best competitor, especially in marketing, are you looking to do the same thing? I understand if you're in ops and you want to bring in a process that is proven, great. But in marketing, you have to be able to break through the mold to stand out and build salience. And if you're hiring from your next best competitors and you're developing product and campaign that are very similar, then you're reducing the choice that you're providing to your consumer. And that's not necessarily a good thing. So I believe that multi-industry is a true edge for me because I have been exposed to many ways of how things can get done. And that's a true value add.
Yes. Yeah. Great perspective. And I agree with you on that. I wonder, Sebastien, what's an influential life experience, though? I just mentioned your LinkedIn resume, your LinkedIn bio and your resume, but what's sort of an influential life experience that your LinkedIn bio can't fully capture, or a story that it doesn't fully tell? Maybe something that's really helped determine who you are and that has inevitably informed your work style.
Yeah, so I can think of two things. So the first one is I've been a professional snowboarder, but in the 90s, this is where I was making $1,000 a year. So, which was a dream, I'm sure, back then. Yeah, back then it was a dream. I've been able to travel, meet so many different people and culture. This is where my English developed. That was amazing, being in a car going through borders in Europe with a guy from Finland, from Sweden, from the US, and from France. You're like, this is good.
Yes.
So professional snowboarder really, opened my eyes to the world and especially the culture that we were building to influence that future industry, the action sport industry.
So a global perspective, was that sort of your biggest takeaway, you think, from being a pro athlete? Was it the hard work, the training, the discipline, or was it that global perspective of being able to travel all over and do something that you love? Yeah,
no, there was no discipline in the training back then. It was more the party, the life, being the life of the party and just doing great tricks on snowboard. But then I've seen how that influence an industry as a whole.
Yeah.
I mean, all those brands, Volcom, Quicksilver, Rip Curl, Billabong, they've Burton, they've grown based off that, based off what we represented, and that's very inspiring to see.
Yeah.
Another life experience that really shaped recently who I am. I went through a nasty divorce, and that's not something you put on LinkedIn. And so I got custody of my kids. So now I became a full dad, raising my kids on my own. And it's been the last 5 years. So that really gave me additional grit, because you can have all the problem you have at home, but when you're leading a team of, 12 or 20 people, and you have to give them direction, whatever happens at home, has to be put on the side, because you have to focus on inspiring your team. And so not only did it give me grit and perseverance, but also encourage me to be more positive, and motivate people through this positivity, because at the end of the day, you still got to show up.
Yeah, and it seems like that is something it seems like you continue to prove is when it's time to show up, when it's time to get the work done, you get in there, do it, roll up your sleeves, and tackle it head on. Give me an example, maybe. Let's talk about then sort of next steps of what you're looking for, but give me an example of a type of work environment that you thrive in. I think you've alluded to it a little bit, but in terms of working with a team and being positive, but what's a great work environment that you hope to work in?
Yes, I strive in organizations who are aligned behind a strategy, where a leader empowers its employee to take action and to learn. So this is easier than none. Because I've seen organizations where we have a strategy, but then there is a lot of opinions and perspective from everybody. So lots of cook in the kitchen, and that kind of derail the path that you're on. And so when you are, especially in a leadership role, when you are empowered to take action, it's important, to assume the decision you're making and live through those. So yeah, I think I strive the most where the leader of the organization is truly empowering its team, and everybody is aligned behind a strategy that was built from consumer insight and real data, and not just perspective and opinion, because Peekable is the most recent shiny object that everybody wants to do.
Yes, and I can't help but think of sometimes I've had in the past when somebody comes in with maybe that strong opinion or sort of a flavor of the day, and you're like, but that is not what the data says. That's not what we're hearing and seeing on the ground. And getting that clarity and alignment, you're right, is so important. Yeah. Sebastien, what will people appreciate most about working with you? What is it that they'll really kind of go, wow, this guy's awesome to work with?
Yeah, so what I hear is my positive energy. So, and I'm like, I consider it to be very contagious, and I've seen it, as I walk in a room, I can see that people are in their cubicle and they're doing their work, but I bring positive energy that, and teams tend to do their best work because of this. Yeah. Right now, I'm often contacted by people saying, "Oh my God, we miss you. We miss you, walking around, and giving a high five. We miss your smile. We miss your energy." This is something I'm hearing a lot, from employees that are still at companies that I used to work. So my contagious positive energy is definitely a value add that I'm going to be bringing. Of course, on top of all the marketing skill set and knowledge, but I think the positive energy is what would stand out.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. I've been in places where you're working at, and I can always see pop around the corner or bring that energy. So you're absolutely right in that. Let's do a little vision board exercise. If you could, you're out searching, you're on your look for your next opportunity. If you could land at any company, any client or get a particular role, what does it look like? What do you want? What are you putting out there?
I've always admired Lego. So I used to play Lego until I was 16. Okay, maybe 25. But Lego is amazing for its ability to reinvent itself and thrive in a digital era, because at the end of the day, it's physical break that kids have to do, and to make sure it stays relevant when those kids right now are spending most of the time on YouTube Short or TikTok, it's been very inspiring to see how Lego striving in the digital era. I'm also drawn to the outdoor space, supporting the health and wellness of people. It's been important to me as well.
So if Lego decides to do an outdoor brand version of Lego or something, you're all in. But I love those. Those are great. Yeah. What advice? This is a good opportunity for us as we wrap things up here, Sebastien. What advice would you give to others in your position, or those maybe looking to do the work that you've done, maybe take a similar college path or a professional path as you have done? What advice do you have for them?
Number one, I would say that progress beats perfection. Everybody wants to do great work, but momentum is more important. Get started. And we used to have a leader that says, "Let's get a B," and he was right. It's better to get started and get some learning early on instead of having a perfect campaign or perfect initiative that is going to be taking more time to develop and perfection, as opposed to get started and get some early learning on, so you can improve over time. So progress beats perfection, number one. And then number two, I would say relationship matters more than resume. I mean, you can be like the best, but if you are a douche at work, people are not going to be supportive of you when you are in the situation I am in. And I've been very grateful because I've had multiple people reaching out to me, and I'm glad of the positive impact I've been able to make through my life, and I can see and appreciate now that relationship is really critical in the situation.
Definitely. Well, and that's why we're here, right? Just through the network. It's like, Sebastien is open. Let's get him on the show. I want to leave you this opportunity here, Sebastien, to just give us any parting words or any leave behinds. What did we leave anything out? Is there anything else you want to add to it? And then we'll tell people where to keep in touch with you. But open mic.
Yes. At this stage in my career, I'm not just looking for a job. I'm looking to make a difference. I bring strategy, creativity, and heart in everything I do. And I'm ready to pour all that into a team that wants to build something meaningful. I'm all in. So if you're looking for someone who defends and makes your company and your brand awesome, call me. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn.
I love it. Well, you guys reach out to Sebastien. I'll put his link in the show notes. You'll find him on LinkedIn. Easy to find over there. Obviously, he's got a great network, great experience. Sebastien, thanks for taking some time to share all that with us, and good luck on the search. Let's hope this gets out there and we get some eyeballs on you, because I know you've got a lot of great things to add to that next company that you're going to find a home at.
Thank you, Derek.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for checking out the show. If you like what you heard, be sure to check back weekly, subscribe to the show, and if you want to be featured on the show, come hit us up at theunderswell.com. We'd love to hear from you.